Hello all, I am Yugender Reddy Vangala, part of Study Group 6, along with my teammates Nikita Kancharla and Venkatayappa Reddy. The learning of Study Group 6 from two articles Dr. Day assigned for reading will be presented in this presentation. Papers assigned to read were a roadmap of agent research and development, an autonomous agents and multi-agent system by Juggins, Nicholas, Skyra, and Mitchell. And the second one was multi-agent learning for engineers, artificial intelligence by Manor Shea and Jeff Sharma. Me and my teammate Ayappa Reddy going to explain about the topic, a roadmap of agent research and development, autonomous agents and multi-agent systems. Another paper will be explained by my teammate Nikita. In our paper, let us discuss about agent. The agent in artificial intelligence receives input from its surroundings and can carry out activities that alter its surroundings. Agents differ from expert systems in that they get information about the environment from a middleman and provide feedback to the middleman on how to act. In agent systems, flexible means both responsive and proactive to their environment. Coming to the next slide, agent-based system. An agent-based system is one in which the agent abstraction is the primary abstraction. Multi-agent system, where the system is created and deployed as a collection of interconnected agents. Multi-agent systems are useful for modeling situations with multiple problem-solving approaches. The following are some examples of multi-agent systems which made some differences like cooperation, coordination, and negotiation. Coming to cooperation, it means collaborating to achieve a common goal. Coming to coordination, arranging problem-solving activities in such a way that differential interactions are avoided and favorable interactions are taken as advantage. Negotiation, reaching a consequences that is agreeable to all parties involved. Let us talk about autonomous agent. An autonomous agent is a smart agent that acts on behalf of its owner without requiring the owner's involvement. An agent is a computer system that operates autonomously in a given environment to achieve its goals. There is some history about these autonomous agents, which involves artificial intelligence, object and concurrent object systems, human computer interfaces. Let's talk about them briefly, starting with artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is the most important contributor to the field of autonomous agents. It is all about creating intelligent articrafts, and these articrafts can be termed agents if they sense and act in a given environment. Most mainstream AI research appears to have assumed their premise by the early 1970s. AI planning was the most closely related field of research activity to autonomous agents at this time. In early 1980s, the AI community put relatively little effort into the research of intelligent agents. The AI planning paradigm can be tracked back to Novell and Simon's GPS system, but it is most generally linked to the STRIPS planning system and its descendants. The following are at least some of the components of common STRIPS style planning system. A planning algorithm that takes a set of action specifications and representation of a goal state as inputs and outputs as a plan. A planning system would go through a cycle of selecting a goal, generating a plan, executing it, selecting a new goal, and the circle continues. Many researchers question the practicality of symbolic reasoning approaches to planning in particular and AI in general, due to apparent failure of early AI planning strategies to scale up to real-world issues, as well as complexity results of Chapman and others. The difficulty of implementing such algorithms in real-world systems motivated researchers to focus on often overlooked topic of agent design. Brooks devised the subsumption architecture, a form of agent control that does not rely on symbolic representations. Despite the fact that subsumption architecture has been proved in a number of excellent applications, there are a number of drawbacks to that architecture and its relatives. Agents must have enough information about their local environment to decide an acceptable action if they do not use models of their environment. It's difficult to see how simply reactive agents could make decisions based on non-local information if they only have local knowledge. It's hard to see how simply reactive agents could learn from their mistakes and improve their performance over time. While good agents can be created with a modest number of behaviors, creating agents with multiple layers is far more difficult. Practical reasoning agents are final tradition in the field of agent architectures. This architecture of practical reasoning agents is based on a theory of practical reasoning in humans. The belief, desire, intention, which is BDI model, is the most popular sort of practical reasoning architecture. BDI agents have a mental state with three components called belief, desires, and intents. Coming to the next slide, object and concurrent object systems. It is described as a computational entities that contain a state and are able to operate on the state and interact via message passing. Between agents and objects, there are some differences. Let's talk about them. Agent and object systems have different Coming to the next slide, human-computer interfaces. Human-computer interfaces is the exchange of information between a human user and a computer system, with emphasis on the usage of input or output devices and supporting software. We employ the direct manipulation interaction paradigm when we engage with a computer through a user interface, which is one-way interaction. A program that can take this kind of initiative is effectively acting as a semi-autonomous agent. Expert assistants are two terms used to describe such entities. Coming to the last one, issues and future directions of the topic. Within the agent field, the issue of agent architectures, particularly layered, hybrid, and practical reasoning architectures, continues to be a focus of this research. The next topic is continued by my teammate. Thank you.
Hi everyone, myself I'm Venkatayappa Reddy. Here I'm going to discuss about multi-agent systems. A computerized system built of multiple interacting intelligent agents is known as multi-agent systems. Multi-agent systems can fix issues that are monolithic systems will find difficult or impossible to address. Methodic, functional, procedural techniques and algorithmic search and reinforcement learning are the examples for the intelligence. Distributed artificial intelligence is overarching concept for many agent systems. DAI is basically divided into two parts: distributed problem solving and multi-agent systems. Distributed problem solving examines how well a problem can be resolved by number of modules that collaborate to divide and share knowledge about the problem and its evolving solutions. In the clean DPS system, all interaction techniques are integrated as integral parts of the system. The behavior of a number of possibility pre-exciting intelligent creatures to solve certain problem in the focus of MAS research. Some of the characteristics of MAS are each agent has insufficient information or ability for solving the problem. Non-global and next one is non-global system controls. Data is decentralized and again, computation is asynchronous. Although MAS has a lot of potential benefits, they also have a lot of problems in terms of design and implementation. The actors model was one of the first multi-agent problem-solving model that has been proposed as a universal primitives for multitasking. Asynchronous message passing is used to communicate among actors which self-contained, interacting autonomous components of the computing systems. Coming to next slide, early applications of multi-agent systems. It contains air traffic control, distributed vehicle monitoring, and blackboard. Air traffic control. Camerata, a research developer, he developed a cooperative method to resolve conflicts between set of agent plans. They, they applied these algorithms in an air traffic control domain where the aim is for each plane to create a flying schedule that keeps a safe distance from the other planes in its area, while also meeting other conditions. Agent chooses one of the participants to solve the problem in the possibly conventional situations. The chosen agent acts as a centralized planner, defining the agent's conflict-free flight route in a multi-agent plan. To identify which agent will be do will do the thinking, many strategies are utilized, such as most knowledgeable agents or most limited agents. Distributed vehicle monitoring tasks. It is a set of agents that are scattered geographically. Each of agent is capable of sensing some parts of region to be monitored. Each agent senses characteristic sound from those cars at discrete time intervals as they pass across its sensing area. Coming to blackboards, a blackboard is nothing but a shared data structure. Agents can communicate with blackboard by simply putting on the data structure. Lesser and Cockle used two blackboards in the early DVMT work, one for the one for data and other for the agent's goals. Coming to next slide, issues and future directions. One of the issue in research and development is internet. In order to achieve their designer's goal, agent must always interact with one another. Agents who wants to cooperate with each other in such open environment confronts two significant challenges. First, they might be able to find each other, and they must be incorporate. Middle agents have been presented as a solution to the problem of discovering agents in open environment like internet. Each agent promotes his or her abilities to middle agent. There are several types of agents, including matchmakers, matchmaker agents who match advertisements to for the request advi- advertised capabilities. Blackboard agent who collects requirements and broken who handles both. Other crucial issue of efficient distribution of limited resources among several agents. For example, due to network congestion, we have encouraged all all along delays in responding to internet searches. In MAS, economic based approaches I have been used to address resources allocation issues. MAS research have been used economics based approaches in the following areas. They are research allocation, task allocation, and negotiation. Coming to applications, in a large type of applications we use in the multitasking, they are manufacturing, process control, telecommunication, air traffic control, transportation system. Agent technology is slowly marking its way out research labs to solve real world challenges in the range of commercial and industrial settings. Coming to manufacturing, a manufacturing company is represented as a hierarchical structure of work cells. They will be work cells for milling, lathing, grinding, painting, and other tasks. For example, these work cells are divided into flexible manufacturing systems, each each of each of which perform specific functions such as assembling, paint, paint spraying, product buffering, and etc. Process control. Agent have a natural use of process control. Because process controls are self-contained representative devices, process control is a logical application for agents. Coming to telecommunications, telecommunication companies and services providers serves to the set of themselves apart from the competition by the offering faster or more dependable services. And coming to air traffic control, OASIS is complex agent-based air traffic control system described by the Limburg and Lucas. The agent metaphors is convenient and natural way to represent real world autonomous components. An agent is assigned to each aircraft as it enters Sydney airspace. An agent is constructed with the information and goal to the correspond to real world aircraft. Transportation system. Because of geographically spread nature, the subject of traffic and transportation management is particularly suited to agent-based approach. Coming to commercial applications, globally, the number of distributed energy component and devices is growing. As a result, distributed control techniques for the managing and exploiting these devices. These three are the commercial applications. First one is information management, electronic business, management of business process. Coming to information management, as amount of variety of information available in our everyday lives has grown, so has to need to handle it. The lack of appropriate data mining services has compound the situation of information overload. The information overload can be two ways: information filtering and information gathering. Information filtering. Every day we are overwhelmed with massive volumes of data via email, Usenet news, and although only small percentage is relevant or useful. Information gathering. We are unable to find information to answer particular requests due to vast amount of data accessible. We must be able to access knowledge that matches our needs, even if information must be gathered from variety of sources. Coming to electronic business, human relationships never decade almost every element of business. People decide when and how to purchase product, how much they are willing to spend, and so on. In theory, though there is no reason why certain trade could not be mechanized. This means some instances economic judgment can be assigned to agents. Management of business process. Data-driven decisions are made by the corporate executives, a mix of intuition and fact from the several departments. All relevant information should be ideally be obtained before making a choice. Coming to entertainment applications, we have two types of entertainment applications discussed here. One is related to games and other is theaters and cinema with interactivity. Here we discuss about games. Creatures offers a rich simulated environment, which is a variety of synthetic agents with which a user can engage in the real time. Agents are supposed to sophisticated dogs whose growth is influenced by the encounter through their lives. Coming to theater and cinema with interactivity, we define participatory theaters and cinema as system that allows user to play substantial role in a drama or film that is similar to played by the actual human actors while interacting with synthetic computerized actors who have real life, featured and behaviors. Coming to medical applications, here every day a great number of uses for computers are found in healthcare industry. As a result, it is not surprising that again it should be used in this domain. The areas of patient monitoring and healthcare are two of early applications. One is patient monitoring and second one is healthcare. Coming to healthcare, it is a typical agent system. The goal of this system is to integrate the patient management process, which often involves large number of people. For example, a medical professional may believe that patient has a breast cancer, but without the help of hospital specialist, the hunt cannot confirm or reject it. If a specialist validates the idea, a treatment plan for the patient must be established, including resources of the people, with agents linked into the individuals and presumably organizations engaged in the patient care process. The system provides naturally portrayal of this process. Coming to patient monitoring, it is a patient care in the surgical intensive care unit, which is called as SICU. Two concerns, two concerns drove the development of the system. First, that the patient care model is in a SICU is essentially that of a team, which a group of experts with different areas of expertise collaborates to organize patient health and care. Coming to next slide. Here we discuss about the conclusion. A number of significant conceptual improvements have been made in both design and implementation of individual autonomous agents, as well as how they interact with one another. Furthermore, the technologies are increasingly being incorporated to commercial goods and real-world software solutions. Despite the evident potential, however, there are a number of fundamental research and development concerns that must be addressed. As previously stated, these difficulties span the whole area of agent and full potential of agent-based system, which only realized until solid and scalable solutions are developed. Thank you.
Yeah, coming to the second paper, I take multi-agent learning for engineers, which was written by Shimano Jeff S. Summer. Here, next slide. In this paper, the framework of a multi-agent should be evaluated through if multi-agent learning is the answer, what is the question? From an engineering point of view, the goal of multi-agent learning is to aid in the design of complicated system with several agents, in contrast to the descriptive agent, which attempts to explain micro or macroeconomic events by basic learning rules. The engineering agenda focuses on developing systems that meet pre-specified performance objectives. Here we can see four type of, it states in a four different types. So one is a main benefit. One of the main benefit of multi-agent learning from an engineering standpoint is its potential applicability as a design methodology for distributed control, which is a branch of control theory that deals with the design and analysis of multiple controllers that work together to satisfy certain design requirements. In this study, it motivate the use of multi-agent learning in these domains to simplify the design process of a distributed control system by decreasing the complexity of each controller, accounting for uncertainty and allowing for distributed interactions between the controllers. Coming to the issues that separate the technical perspective of multi-agent learning from the descriptive and predictive perspectives. Finally, we share a view on the engineering agenda and the problems it presents. Next slide. Why multi-agent learning? Here, limited communication capabilities, local and dynamic information, defective components, and unpredictable, if not hostile, environment complicate the effect. In general, it is not possible to send all the information to a command center that can process it and distribute orders. Furthermore, moreover, even if this were conceivable, the total system's complexity would render the challenge of developing a centralized optimum policy impossible. The employment of game theoretic approaches is motivated by the complexity and dispersed nature of these challenges. A multi-agent perspective allows one to see a large system as a collection of small interactive components. It should be noted that this selecting a multi-agent structure as a design strategy. As a result, the decision-making process for any one component is driven by an optimization problem that is much simpler than the centralized problem. but it is related to the decisions of other associated components. As a result, Nash equilibrium represents an optimality condition from the standpoint of each individual component, but it does not reflect optimal operation as a whole. The thought of the system self-organizing into a suboptimal Nash equilibrium is less intimidating than the notion of developing a centralized optimum policy. Next slide. Here, the different types, coming to descriptive, predictive, or engineered. Here, we have most would agree that a large part of our exploration in multi-specialist learning has its underlying foundations in the financial game. As needs be, it is likewise protected to say that this writing didn't plan to offer a plan philosophy for design framework. This does not imply that material, and it can't be wellspring of technique for design framework. Rather, it highlights the significance of perceiving what is the issue while thinking about this material for a multi-special approach for planning designing framework that expressed this segment present chosen gives that can be recognizing attributes of multi-agent learning in design plans. Especially, we see that different ideas that assume an persistent part in the financial matters writing become plan contemplations while considering a multi-agent learning approach. Here we have 5 different types. We can see defining the game, Nash equilibrium, performance convergence and averages, limited information and cautionary communication, learning dynamics, and bounded rationality. Coming to first one, defining the game. Next slide. Here, the functioning of agents in reactive settings that vary over time is a critical reality that a design technique must confront. The sort of game used to capture such dynamics might be a one-shot game, repeated game, or a stochastic game. Here, a one-shot game, we are ignoring the dynamics of the situation. A repeated game comes to as a deeper structure since it reflects the outcomes of a strategy over numerous time steps. This proposes employing regret mitigation approaches. Stochastic games are a more natural model to use for simulating dynamics. Finally, establishing the players and the strategy spaces, and the design issue is specifying the agent utility functions. As with other design criteria, there is a lot of leeway in defining appropriate utility functions. Coming to next slide, a Nash equilibrium. A substantial amount of research in multi-agent learning has been devoted to identify limiting behaviors of various algorithms, especially evaluating whether behavior converges to a Nash equilibrium or any other desired goal set. Given the historical relevance of Nash equilibrium as a predictive notion of social interactions, it should be a surprise that there are associated analytical inquiries into how Nash equilibrium may form. The attainment of equilibrium requires a disequilibrium process. Different arguments are required for the significance of Nash equilibrium is design systems. Because of the universality of the Nash equilibrium notion, a desired solution can be described as a Nash equilibrium, but only for a certain game. This ideal game is not employed in a multi-agent learning setup for a variety of reasons. And the point worth addressing is the difficulty in locating and characterizing a Nash equilibrium. If computing it is NP hard, or even if the complexity is just a large no learning algorithm can hope to reach a Nash equilibrium. A message passing algorithm, for example, is used to determine the equilibrium of a certain graphical game. Coming to next slide, performance, convergence, and averages. Much of the research on learning in games is concerned with describing the behavior of a various learning process in terms of a limited equilibrium set, such as Nash equilibrium, correlator equilibrium, the Hannon consistency set, and so on. This is appropriate, especially in the absence of a specified application domain to evaluate performance using domain-specific criteria. If a Nash equilibrium does, in fact, represent a desired operating condition, then learning approaches that guide behaviors to equilibrium are well motivated. As an example of routing in networks, consider which develops a routing algorithm that leads to the ideal ward-drop equilibrium, which is a Nash equilibrium in the proper environment. However, from an engineering standpoint, convergence of learning algorithms should not be a goal in or of itself. Indeed, convergence may result in a loss of efficiency in terms of player utilities as compared to the non-convergent scenario. As well as trial issue is whether specialists approach the utility elements of different specialists. The absence of such utility data results is supposed uncoupled learning and can have significant outcomes on the subsequent restricting practices of specific classes of learning element. We should remark that a useful articulation of utility is frequently inaccessible for both design and financial framework, making online result-based learning in need. For design frameworks, the data accessible to every specialist is a plan thought that is impacted by the explicit space. This is distinct difference to an enlightening social model where the data stream is directed by the specific demonstrated setting. A genuine model is information on the utility capacity of different specialists. In a designing application where specialists are modified parts, this information can basically be imparted, though at some expense, among our specialists. In friendly demonstrating settings where utility mirrors a specialist hidden purpose, such correspondence of utility can't be accepted. Coming to next slide, learning dynamics and bounded rationality. There is a significant number of various variation components for multi-specialist learning. For descriptive social models, there is an interest in seeing how specialists learn in games. This might clarify why most elements in the monetary writing require almost no continuous handling ability. Interestingly, in design frameworks, specialists are customized parts, thus the detail of learning elements turns out to be one more planned decision. Without a doubt, on the off chance that one perspective input control frameworks as a type of successive independent direction finding out if a regulator conceivably reflects human navigation is never yet thought. Thus, let us take the idea of limited reasonableness. Basically, to mean restrictions on the handling limit of individual specialists in this unique situation, the particular application space directs the limits of limited discriminant. The arrangement of doable learning elements. Our rundown of designing plan contemplations in multi-specialist gaining is a long way from through and will keep on developing as long as financial strategies keep on being investigated for designing issues. One model is the developing interest, especially in the systems administrator writing, in applying ideas from instrument plan, beginning from giving impetuses by means of estimating has become very alluring in the hypothetical systems administration local area. Late outcomes present a basic component prompting limited productivity, misfortune as for social optimality. All things considered, designing such a component appears to be an imposing undertaking. Fine. Conclusion. We portray here we have design frameworks in our two additional factors that are very crucial for a constructed systems are robustness and domain knowledge. Strength in the old style feeling of control hypothesis implies the versatility of a framework to variety in the boundaries of nature or the normal info. For multi agent of figuring out how to be utilized in genuine designing framework, it should have some power properties. There are few parts of hardiness that are significant for design frameworks. To begin with, the power infers that there are some presentation ensures that would hold much under the most terrible conditions. This should be possible, maybe utilizing the internet learning plan where the lament is limited and some exhibition ensues are given. Second, heartiness infers that one can ensure specific arrangement of potential drivers and conditions. This intends that assuming we confine the arrangement of adversaries and a real climate to have a place with specific arrangement of potential drivers and conditions. We close with a remark that that this paper, for example, this one that harps on progress and difficulties can undoubtedly seem to be excessively critical, very running against the norm. We really do accept that the multi-agent learning structure coming from the Monterey game hypothesis writing offers extensive guarantee for significant designing issues, and we anticipate seeing this bearing proceeding to bloom in the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.